Good morning. I'm Coach Ricardo Miller, and I'm excited about today because I believe I am resilient. I believe I'm resilient because time has tested me. Okay? That turning setbacks into stepping stones is the epitome of my life. Well, it's not about me only this morning. It's about Miss Brittany Clark. Welcome back to Effective Living. Brittany, how are you doing?
Good morning, Coach. I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm wonderful. Brittany, you are on a roll. We're talking this week with people about purpose and adversity and understanding these little things we have to get over in order for us to get to our victory. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us for the very first time, please like, subscribe, and do me a favor. Refer somebody to listen to this. Because what I found, Brittany, is, as the Bible says, broad is the way that leads to death, and narrow is the way that leads to life. Most people are not doing well. And because most people aren't doing well, it looks normal. And it's okay to be at the water cooler talking about defeat. It's okay to be in your cubicle talking about defeat. It's okay to be on your friend's porch talking about defeat. It's okay to be on social media talking about defeat. But then there's a rare platform. There's a platform, there's an organization called Effective Living. And every time you check out this place, this company, this group, this individual, this people, they're talking about overcoming. They're talking about winning. They're talking about getting the most out of each day. Brittany, you've been sharing this week and you've been honest with us and helping us to walk this journey with you. The whole term, building resilience. Have you ever found yourself having to feel the need to build resilience, or do you think you're a little bit resilient already? Well, where are you?
I think I'm a little bit of both, Coach. I think I am pretty resilient, but there was a time where I felt like I was not resilient and every single hit was going to take me out.
When you say everything single hit, that means you had to be weak at your core. And now you got to the place where you start to realize you had to learn how to make some adjustment because you felt like everything was going to take you out, but you have moved from that. Talk to us a little bit about that because now you can look back at your life and you say, oh my God, how many of you are watching us this morning and you can refer to moments where you say, that would have taken me out. I sure that would have taken me out. Oh my God. Brittany, you live long enough and you would find yourself saying, this is the worst. Have you ever used those terms before? This is the
Yes.
being treated. This is the worst I've ever felt. I can't, this is the worst someone has ever. And human beings, I call it, we have selective memory. We have
Yep.
selective memory to the point where we forgot that teacher who talked to us bad. We forgot that first relationship that broke up bad. We forgot the first boss who may have fired us, or you know what I'm saying? But
Yep.
yet we still say, oh my goodness, like she talked to me, that's the worst. Or he talked to me, that's the worst. Resilient Brittany, look back over your life. Talk to us about some moments. You don't have to go specific, but can you refer to the fact that you've had those moments where you now could solidify, I am resilient. I am not as resilient as I may want to be because I remember my fragile season.
Well, Coach, I think that part of me always thought I was resilient or hoped that I would be resilient. As you know or you remember, I'm adopted, and there was a time in my life where I was like, as when I was younger, that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this. And
Yeah,
then life kept going, and people stepped in to help me. And I learned that not only am I pretty resilient, but I can use my story to teach others how to be resilient.
yeah. And that you are doing. That you are doing. It's amazing when you look back. When I look back and I'm thinking, boy, I didn't thought I was going to make this. I call it turning a setback into stepping stones. Have you seen some of those in your life? Talk to us a little bit about them.
Yes, I have. You said turning a setback into stepping stones. I think that we look at events in our lives and think that they are chains and they're holding us back, and we have to actually learn to use those things to help us get through them. As you know, I'm a single parent, and a lot of, it used to be a lot of older thinking, but it's still pretty common today that if you're a single parent, then, obviously you either aren't a good person or you're not going to make it very far in life because you made decisions and now you're raising a kid on your own. But I used that experience to push through and learn how to be a better person, not just for myself, but for my son.
And you know what? I commend you. I commend you because I grew up in a single parent home. I'm grateful to my mother who, she fought through to raise me and my siblings, and I salute all of those single moms out there who are championing the cause of raising great kids, and in your regard, raising a great son, and God is with you. Can you look back and see those God moments? Talk to us about some God moments where you, boy, had it not been for God. Do you feel as though you could see some of those looking back?
I do. There, are moments when my son broke his arm, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this by myself. He did not appreciate his broken arm, or when I've had flat tires, or I have lost a job for reasons that are not my own, and I was wondering how am I going to make it to pay my bills? Those are all moments that seemed hard in the moment, but they were actually very useful tools to teach me how to get through onto the next season.
How does Brittany Clark gets through frustration when that tire you walk outside and the tire is flat? Or you got those moments where you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Not today, devil. How does Brittany respond to those?
Well, through our effective living coaching sessions and the 5 F's, I have a good circle of people. So if I need help, I still sometimes hesitate a little, but I call and I ask for help, or I lean on my fitness. It helps me work through frustrations. And like we talked about previously, venting is okay, but if you're walking in continually venting, sometimes I will lean on my fitness and, physically work out my frustrations before I go and talk to anyone so that I'm not one of those chronic venters. I have different, strategies set up through my 5 F's that help me manage my frustrations.
I like how you talked about the fitness one first. Let's talk about that. I remember having gone through some of those difficult moments, and I tell people, if those of you that are watching, I tell people you should find that thing that really works for you to help you relieve the frustration. And there are some really good healthy stuff. Okay, and you can get better at not responding to frustration like you've done in the past. Some people haven't learned, Brittany.
Yeah.
Some people haven't learned how to respond to frustration. But one of the things of turning setbacks, because setbacks are going to happen. We're not in charge of the world. Okay, we're not in charge of the world. So one of the things I found to be really good was for me, like you, is running. I like a good brisk walk. I like a nice workout. It really sets the stage and help me up for the win. But in addition, when it comes to frustration and rewiring myself from not allowing a setback to hold me back, I start thinking about everything I'm not in control of. And Brittany, if we can get to the point where we start to respect the fact that the things you have no control over, you shouldn't stress about. Somebody said, Miller, it's easy for you to say that you're on the 48th floor in a nice hotel. I mean, you're living the life up, man. What's up with, you could easily say that. Well, no, it's not easily, because the truth is a blown out tire is beyond my control. Oftentimes, it could be somebody run into your car and it's not your fault. So you mean the weather. You're there in Alabama, and oftentimes you have weather that can destroy stuff, and it's just nature. For those of you guys who are watching in the Bahamas, you woke up and you ended up finding out it was raining all night and the yard's flooded and the car is underwater. Well, oh my goodness, I'm so upset. What? You can't do nothing about that? It's called rain.
Right.
It's called everybody's car is flooded on the street. No one can get out of their house. I found, Brittany, that really, really works. And so what I've been doing more so in this season of my life, I've been looking at what can I not control? And what I cannot control, I let go of.
Mm-hmm.
Now, have I always been good at that? No. But on my scale to 1 to 10, when it comes to 10 being I'm great at it and 1 being I'm horrible at it, I'm more like 7. I'm more like 7. So people actually, most of my colleagues and friends from the past would think I'm abnormal. They're like, my God, you're an anomaly. Most people aren't wired like that, Miller. Well, I wasn't always wired that way either. I learned to do that. So, Brittany, let's talk about that for a moment where you found yourself having to now look at the fact that is it not true that there are some things you have control over and there are some things you have no control over?
That is so true. And one of the hardest things I had to learn was kind of about something we learned yesterday, not judging others, but not letting others judge us, or not being affected by other people's judgments. Because when my son started walking, I had a hard time when I would take him into public because, little ones, they act out or they express themselves very vibrantly. And it was very hard for me not to be upset by all of his erratic behavior because people were looking. And I finally learned I just had to let go of it because he's young and he's going to be wild and silly and crazy, and it's beyond my control.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are some things that's beyond your control, and you remind yourself, if it's beyond my control, I need God's help, or I need those who are specialized in that thing to help me with what I have no control over. And then there are some things you just got to work through. And so with effective living, it's all about management. Setbacks. Some setbacks, you caused it, but you got to tell yourself, how can I make sure it doesn't happen again? And then there are some setbacks, you had no control over it. You had nothing to do with it, but it's a setback. And so I believe in assessment. I talked about that before in one of our other talks. Assessments is looking at your life and ask yourself, how much of this mess did I create?
Right.
Hey, how much of this mess did I create? How much of me messing up my credit? Oh, my credit is messed up. Acknowledging your credit is messed up is not the answer. Now, assessing what you did to create that bad credit situation, and then after you've done the assessment, you come up with a plan to say, I ain't going to do that no more. I ain't going to do that no more, because that's the way to not have those setbacks to keep you back. Okay? You don't want your setback to keep you back. It could be the same thing. You could deal with people in a way that cause you to never have friends, or to cause people to always be using you. You got to ask yourself, what cost that? I said yes when I should have said no.
Right.
I made myself available when, what? I have a son at home. I could be tutoring him.
All right.
I'm not always available. And so a big part of it, Brittany, I had to look at, a big part of it was my fault.
Yeah.
And especially, Brittany, especially if it's a repeated thing. Let's talk about us. Let's not talk about people. Come on. What have you found yourself? You be like, oh, Brittany. Have you ever talked to yourself and you're like, Brittany? Because I've had to talk to myself, Ricardo. It was funny. I was coming in the airport, flying into Chicago. Because I was there an hour and a half early, Brittany, I was thinking, going on a 2-hour flight, man, you might as well go stop at Whataburger or Chick-fil-A and get yourself a meal for the plane. And guess what? It's about a 10-minute walk to the other side of the terminal. And I'm talking to my wife, and I'm like, babe, I think I'm going to do it. But I wasn't hungry, Brittany. I just was doing it out of habit. And
wow.
I walked over, and there was a long line. And everything in me said, you don't need the food. You don't need it. So I decided to do the long walk back. As I was walking back, another little store opened up, and they had those big, giant chocolate chip cookies. Just so you know, that's my weakness, okay? I love me.
Good to know.
I love me some good, giant chocolate chip cookies, and I love the oatmeal ones. Oh my God! I'm telling you, and so they had the big ones. These were like for $3.95, $4 for one big cookie. I walked over there. I said, Miss, and I grabbed up two of them, a chocolate chip and and a oatmeal type of cookie with the raisin in it. And I
Yeah.
was like, give me two of these. And I'm thinking I'm gonna get this for the flat. And then I was like, no, ma'am, you can keep it. Never mind. My point though is I was trying to learn how to stop treating myself like, Ricardo, you're the one hurting you.
Yeah.
Ricardo, you're the one hurting you. Have you ever found yourself having to tell yourself, Brittany, I'm the one who's creating my own problem. Brittany, go ahead.
I have let me be vulnerable for a moment, coach. I was trying to get my finances together, and I was making my list and evaluating all the things that I was spending money on, and there were some times at the end of the month that I'm just like, I should have more money left over. What have I been doing? You know what I was doing, coach? Ordering out. I was ordering DoorDash. I was picking up food out. I have perfectly good food at home I could eat that was healthier for me, but it was easier to press a couple buttons and order some food. But that was negatively affecting not just my finances, but my health. And not just my health, but the health of my son, because I wasn't teaching him good habits. And it was very hard for me to rein that in and be like, oh no, we're not going to do this anymore. And it was so bad. It got to the point that my son was like, did you order dinner? It was bad, coach. It was bad, but I put an end to it. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. See, but the key is you noticed it and then you start to work towards correcting it. And that's what this talk is all about, ladies and gentlemen. Looking at your life and start noticing what's not working for you and start to make the appropriate adjustment. Brittany, we have been on a roll helping people to see our lives as practical, regular people trying to work through some things. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, you are resilient, but you can become more resilient. How do you do that, Coach Miller? By starting to pay attention to what you call a setback and making yourself do the work for that comeback, that stepping stone process that moves you up rather than keep pulling you back. I love and appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for joining us. Brittany, I appreciate you. We're making progress in helping not only ourselves, but those who are watching, learning from our talk. That's why we're doing this. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're enjoying this, share it with somebody. Also, put a comment in the comment section and share what's your favorite point that was highlighted during this morning's talk. Brittany, have a great day. Be safe out there.
thanks, coach.
God bless. Bye bye.